Hello everyone. So today this is a quick revision of the chapter The Making of Nationalism in Europe. So uh, we'll revise the whole thing quickly for the upcoming exams of boards and other small PT type exams as well. So yeah, they did not see. We'll start from the main points. As we all know today, Germany, Italy, and Switzerland were divided into many kingdoms. We all know that they were divided into many kingdoms. Like Germany was like before called Prussia, and France was also ruled by many kings, and the power kept on shifting. So, as you see, they didn't have a collective identity. Like there were many state divisions, so then they didn't have a collective identity. As there are many kings, suppose we'll take for example Habsburg Empire. So, like the emperor invaded many areas, but he failed to establish the one nation unity in that. So, for that. For that they are like you can take the example from there that they are not unified as one nation. They are like divided into different states instead of being like one state. And next, aristocracy and the middle class. The members of this class are united by the common way of life because across the regional divisions. They owned estates in countrysides and town houses. They spoke French. So as you see, like the state was divided into different kinds of groups. So first group here was aristocracy. They were the main people in like the people basically from the king's family, which belonged to different states, and they were usually tied up with each other like in the form of marriages, and like they had a position that they will own a large piece of land and they will get loads and loads of money. But they were only a small group, but still they were like the main people at the top. Next, due to the growth of industrial production, there was an emergence of commercial classes. So these emergence classes were also later known as like the middle class. They were the new middle class, and they formed that, and they were against the rights of the aristocracy as they were not getting the same privileges as they got, and they got some extra privileges because of just being the family, just being in the family of the king. So next, what does liberalism stands for? So here we all know that liber stands for, it's a Latin word which stands for free. So it's basically like everyone is like equal before the law. Second thing was that that uh, second thing was that first thing was equality before the law. Second thing was that government by consent of the people. Government was like the king used to tell everything, and no, he didn't listen to any other generals and anyone. But this says that the government should be by the consent of people. They should listen to the people as well, and they should have a debate on it. And next, and it should have a constitution, and the government should be in a parliamentary form. Constitution should be there to monitor the parliamentary form of government so that they don't cross their boundaries. So basically at that time the rights were given to the men who owned property. So other men and the women didn't get the right to vote. So during this period of time, the economic sphere, liberalism also stood for freedom of markets and abolition of state-imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. So they wanted that there should be abolition of taxes on the markets and sales. Suppose if I'm going something like A to B or to C, we'll get some taxes in B or C. So that was the thing. And also in many states, like if you talk about one state in Russia, Europe, one state other in Europe, we don't get like same measures and same kind of currency. So it was hard to like export and import things, and it was not helping in the trade. So they just wanted to make a same system of currencies and weights. New conservation after 1815. So we all know that Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo in 1815. We have studied that in class 9th, and now after that conservatives are the people. I'll tell you who are conservatives. They are the people who are in the mindset of Like the king should only we should preserve our uh, religious cultures and all, but we should also be take the modernized changes. With that, we should progress. Yes. So they thought that traditional institution of state society like the monarchy and churches, hierarchies, family should be preserved. Modernization could be in the fact of strengthening the traditional institutions like monarchy. So, in 1815, representatives of 18 European powers, the powers who won against the Napoleon together, which were Britain, Austria, and I think Prussia, which was also known as Germany, has collectively defeated Napoleon. And after that, in Austria, there was this guy Duke Metternich, who held a meeting after that, which was also known as Treaty of Vienna. After that, France was surrounded by some states, so that France could not capture more areas, and other states were like the captured areas were divided between the states which won the battle against Napoleon. Conservative remains or autocratic, they did not by 1815 this conservative has taken this whole France and all, so they didn't tolerate any dissent or any bad things about them, so they basically banned people from criticizing them. They were aware that there can be another revolution like it happened in the past, so they banned all the TV newspapers and everyone. But still some liberals, they were still having the memories of the last revolution, so that they could remove this conservative power again. And then the revolutionaries, during the year following 1815, the fear of repression proved very. The fear of repression drove many liberal nationalists underground. Secret societies found. So, what are the secret societies? Secret societies were the societies like many people throughout the Europe which wanted the change. Like they wanted unity and unity in the Europe. One of the person in that was Giuseppe Mazzini. Very important name for one word questions. He was born in uh, July 1804 and near Genoa. He was the member of secret society, obviously, and he at the age of just 24 he was sent to uh, Liguria to spread nationalism there and basically unify it in the form of a revolution. He founded two societies. So basically, he was founder of two societies: Young Italy in Marseilles, and the other was Young Europe in Bern. He used to say that God has intended nations to be natural of mankind. Metternich described him as the most dangerous enemy of social order. So we have done the second part of the making of the making of the nationalism in Europe. I'll come back with the second part very soon.